Oh man. Eyup cock, welcome back. We're going to do his League One predictions for this weekend's games. But first, we've got to actually touch on Rotherham and Bradford, which is Thursday night. So we'll get that one out of the way first. Rotherham are crap. Bradford are clearly really good. I think that is just be all and end all of that situation, unfortunately, for Rotherham. But it is just very football for Bradford to go to Rotherham and lose. So I won't be surprised with that at all. But I'm very clear with my stance on both of these teams at the minute. I think Rotherham are genuinely god-awful. And until Hamshaw gets buoyed, I don't think that'll change, really. Bradford have proven that, I've said this a few times now, but they've proven they're not just riding some sort of momentum wave like Donny were to a certain extent. Bradford are a serious team. They've won 4 out of the last 5 games. They've won 7 out of 10. They've only lost 1 so far, and that will wait Donny. And it's not even going to be a case of Rotherham are really going to be defensively switched on here. They're going to sit back in a low block and try and spring on counters because they've got no pace up front. They don't have the tactical nuance to sit back in a low block anyway. They're just easy pickings a lot of time, and I think Bradford will prove that to be the case here as well. I've not changed my lightsaber and I forgot, but whatever. I'm going to go with just bog standard, away win, 2-1 Bradford. I really do think the difference and goal thinking class between these two teams is massive, so I'll say that. Well then, Donny and Burton. Now, Burton are no longer bottom of the league. They're up to 22nd after a win midweek in their game in hand away at Cardiff. Now, they soaked up a lot at ball. There were a lot of defending going on. Cardiff had loads and loads of shots. I think they had 8 big chances, Cardiff, and ended up coming away with no. Charlie Webster, who is by and large Burton's best player, with goal again. I don't think Burton will have as much defending to do. Donny is still going to dominate this game and probably have most of possession, foot on ball for the majority of it, control tempo, the full thing. And I do think they've got better players than Burton, definitely. But maybe that win's giving them a little bit of confidence, you know. Donny have 3 losses in a row. Burton have obviously got the first win in many games now since really early doors at season started. And I think that's got to count for some, obviously, the psychological side of the game. But also at the same time, Donny aren't just going to lose every game for the rest of the time. Just because they've lost 3 in a row, that will change. I'm just not overly sure if I see it changing here. I'm going to go with probably not a favourable result here. I'm going to go with a draw. I'll go Donny 1, Burton 1. Here we go. It's our weekly Will Barnsley lose or not questionnaire. We've got Wycombe away. Oh, I've got Michael Duff in charge, ex-Barnsley manager. Since he's come in, they've started fairly decently. They did lose to Wimbledon at weekend, and to be fair, I think Wimbledon looked quite good value for that. Wycombe only started playing its second half when they were 2-0 down already. Barnsley come here on 4 losses in a row in all competitions. Only 1 goal in the last 4 games. I think it's 2 shots on target in 4 games. Clear problems there. And to be fair, I didn't think this was the case, but since we started playing these on a more consistent basis, in the last 5 appearances that we've made at Wycombe, we have won 3 of them. In all cons, we've lost the last 3 away games as well, which is something that we've never really done in this division. We've always had a good away record, despite being crap while we've been in this league. The question is, do I think, again, that Barnsley avoid defeat? I don't think I've predicted us to lose once this season so far, and we've come out with 3 of them in 9 games. Do I think we win away at Wycombe? I really hope I'm wrong, but no, I don't. I don't think we win this game at the minute, how it's going. I think we need to get into this international break and change things quite quickly. But that being said, do I think we'll lose? No, I don't. We can't lose 5 in a row, lads. Come on. We're not losing 5 in a row. I'm not accepting that. I'm going to go 1-1 for Wycombe Barnsley. I think Duff will just set out to be annoying more than anything else, and I think he'll get his wish. I'll go Wycombe 1, Barnsley 1. Blackpool and Wimbledon. This is actually quite a dodgy one. Wimbledon have turned into a really good side. They lost 4 on bounce, and then they've won 4 on bounce straight after that. I've maintained the point that after they bet us, by the way, they did go and lose 4 games in a row after beating us. But since that game, it was clear that the stereotype of them being the weakest side in division because they've come up with players in League 2, making them the weakest side, is wrong. They are not a bad team at all. They are very well drilled. I don't think they've exactly got massive standouts in the team. You probably look at somebody like Stevens away at a Blackpool side that are still in bottom 4, but they've only lost once in the last 3 games. They bet Barnsley. Obviously, midweek, they had Luton at home, and they got a point there as well, which has turned out to be a really good one. Luton hasn't started that well, but like team-wise, they're expected to be up there, aren't they? But despite all that, Blackpool being really crap for the most part, Wimbledon obviously having a really good season so far. They're up into 6th. Blackpool's home form in all comps is not actually that bad. But Wimbledon's away form is complete opposite. They've lost 3 out of the last 4 games. So I don't think it's as easy as saying, well, Wimbledon are going to come here because they're 6th and win. I just don't think it's that easy. But we are Wimbledon like to set up. They are quite a defensive side. They are very well structured and organised and hard to break down. Really strong on set pieces. And I think Blackpool, even though they've got a point midweek against Luton, I do think they are still quite pish in grand scheme of things. I think Wimbledon will come here and get a draw. I will go 1-1 again. Bolton and Peterborough. Obviously, Bolton have come off back a 2-0 loss away at Northampton. Peterborough won midweek against Aston Villa's kids. I do not care that the stats are always heavily favoured to Bolton and they never seem to win. They've only got 3 wins in 10 games in this division. It is really poor, but they dominate a lot of games. Peterborough, obviously, they look like they've turned a corner. They've won 3 out of the last 4 in all competitions. I could not give one monkey, not one singular monkey. I am telling you right now, I am so confident in this. Bolton are going to hammer Peterborough. I think they will absolutely destroy them. These two teams are worlds apart in terms of personnel, play style, dugout, everything. Peterborough cannot lay a glove on this Bolton side, and especially away from home. And I know they did quite well against Plymouth to end up coming away with a 1-0 win, but they were getting battered for the majority of the game. And if you look before that Plymouth game, every other single away game that Peterborough have had in all comps, including Cup to Accrington Stanley, they have lost. All 5 of them. I think that is the exact same thing that happens here. I really think the Bolton are just miles and miles better than them. Even though they bet Wigan 4-1, I think Bolton are due another hammering. And Peterborough bottom at league for a reason. They're absolutely dog shit. I think this is the game for them. I am going to say Bolton 5, Peterborough 0. Yep. Cardiff and Leyton Orient. Right. Ignore the cup games. Let's just focus on the league right now. Cardiff in the last 4 have only won 1 and they were a 2-0 win away at Wigan. They drew away at Stockport with a 94th minute equaliser or something like that. They lost at home to Bradford, who could have conceded more. And then midweek, like we've already addressed, they were at home to Burton, had loads and loads of chances, very Bolton, but lost game. Now, I said in one of the other videos, I think it was after the Bradford one, about the mentality side of things and whether Cardiff can bounce back. Obviously, they ended up beating Burnley in Cup, and they went to Cardiff away and won. But the consistency has completely gone out at window in league, which is why they've slid down to 4th. I know it's still a really good start, but they're still in 4th. Now, the psychological side of things may have any sort of effect at all, but Leyton Orient are the exact sort of team that I think Cardiff will be licking the lips against here. They've conceded 18 goals, Leyton Orient, so far. Yes, they've scored 13, and they definitely pose some sort of threat in goal department. Cardiff, I do think, will have some defending to do here, but this is a completely different kettle of fish to what Burton is in terms of play styles. Burton come, sat up shop, put 11 men behind the ball. They had 1 shot effectively all game and scored. Leyton Orient, I do think, will have more chances, but they will definitely be more open. And Cardiff, with how good some of their players are, can definitely just take piss a little bit and take advantage of them gaps that open up. And despite some really poor form in league, Cardiff now, they have lost the last 2 home games as well. I do think this is sort of game will turn it round. And against somebody like Leyton Orient, I think they might put a few past them. They've conceded 18 goals for a reason, Leyton Orient. They've conceded in every single game apart from 2 in all comps all season. It's a lot of goals and a lot of consistent ones at that. I do think Leyton Orient will score though. I will go Cardiff 3, Leyton Orient 1. We'll go with that. Huddersfield and Stockport. Now, again, this is 2 teams that are bigger threats to promotion before the season started. Everybody looked at these, the bigger budgets. These have got 2 of the biggest budgets in division. They're chucking a lot of money about. They've not started well in terms of performances, really. You expect a lot more from the teams that these 2 have got. But, that being said, Stockport are in 8th and Huddersfield are in 5th. So it could be a lot worse. This is 2 sides that have definitely got a lot to say for promotion at the end of this season if they can play not that cracking and be maximum 7 points off top of division. Now, the form of both these 2 teams is just absolutely crap. Huddersfield have won once in 5 in all comps. Stockport have only won 2 in 7 in all comps. There is no consistency at all between either of these 2 teams. But Huddersfield, I do think the home aspect has definitely got some weight to it. In all comps, again, they've only lost once and it was to Man City at home in Cup. That's just ridiculous. And then the only other one was Burton at home, who've proved, to be fair, that they can go to bigger sides and favourites and play AF decent or beat games and get some points. Burton went to Cardiff midweek and won. They went to Huddersfield and got a point. They scored 2 away at Barnsley. I know they still lost game, but they scored 2 there. They've always been in games against better sides, so I don't think that's too much of an issue anyway for Huddersfield there. Every other game they've won. And Stockport haven't lost a lot of away games, to be fair, even spanning into last season. They've been really good away for a long time now. When there's 2 teams that aren't playing that good, sort of got the same expectations, there's nothing really to separate these that much, apart from the home aspect. I will go with the home aspect, and I will go with the home side. I think Huddersfield will narrowly win this game 2-1. I could see it being a scrappy one, but they'll take it. Do you know what I mean? Only thing that matters is 3 points after the game. Not to just come out with all football cliches, but you know what I mean. Lincoln and Exeter. I mean, Lincoln are just massive favourites for this, aren't they? And with good reason. They've lost once in division, and that's it. In all comps, again, you're looking at 4 wins in the last 5 and only losses to Chelsea in Cup. So if you want to take out the obvious loss that they were going to get anyway, it's 4 wins on bonds. And with Exeter, I thought from the highlights, which it showed me, it were only limited, to be fair, on that football goal show thing, but the highlights showed me that they had a decent run out against Huddersfield. Huddersfield fans have liked to politely remind me that that is not the case, and Huddersfield should have won anyway. Fair dues, if that is the case. Exeter have lost 4 in a row in league, and are very hot and cold anyway, in terms of... They'll perform really well some weeks and then really crap another, but the result a lot of time is still the same thing. It is just a lot of losses and a lot of red for Exeter at the minute, unfortunately. And Lincoln are just very good. They've got one of the best defensive records in the league. They've scored 17 goals, which is second most. They're a top side. They're at home to one of the weakest teams in division. This just is a simple 2-0 home win, innit? I think I'll go with that. Imps to win. Plymouth and Wigan. I'm afraid I'm going another home win here, fairly comfortably as well. 3 losses in a row for Cardiff all comes. Plymouth have really started turning it on now. 4 wins in 5. They are scoring goals for fun. They went to Burton and put 4 past them. They scored 6 against Tottenham's kids in that stupid cup. Obviously, they lost 1-0 to Peterborough in this sort of span, but they scored 3 against Luton. They scored 4 against Stockport, 2 against Cheltenham in that cup as well. Since a very poor start, Plymouth are really starting to turn it on a little bit now. Tolager's really started to show his worth, and that it were a good buy to get him for £1 million. And Wigan's form so far this season against the better sides, the better teams, the bigger budgets, has been really poor. They've not won any of them, I don't think, against the bigger sides. They lost to Leyton, Orient, lost to Luton, drew to Stockport. They got absolutely hammered away at Bolton. They lost to Cardiff. The record against the better teams is really poor, Wigan's. And I think Plymouth at home now will really start to put some form together. They have only won 4 in 10, but 3 have come in the last 4 games anyway. I think Plymouth win fairly comfortably. I'm going to go back-to-back, same as Lincoln score. I'll go 2-0 to home side. Plymouth 2, Wigan 0. Oh no, this is quite a toughie this. Port Vale versus Northampton. Now, obviously the league aspect and the glowing review that I just get at Port Vale after the bet Barnsley, you think I'll just sit here and go, Port Vale easy win. They had a really difficult fixture away at Barnsley and made us look like mugs. So surely someone like Northampton at home, you'd think it's easy pickings. But Northampton have won 5 out of 6 games against some good teams and all. They're clearly no pushovers. They're up to 13th in division. But Port Vale at home have won 3 in a row. This is a very tough one to call. Unfortunately, right, I do want to just say, I quite like Northampton and I rate the chances now because I think they've proved a lot of people wrong, early doers. But their away form does stink. They've lost 3 out of 4 games. Their only win were away at Leyton Orient, which were a good one, in fairness. But Port Vale being in the really good form that they are, taking it to home ground as well. And I do think it's a good chance, for Port Vale this to carry on a really good run and be 4 in a row. And I think they will. Sorry, Northampton. You've been on a really, really impressive run of form. But Port Vale, having seen them in the flesh, are a top side. Defensively very good. I will go a 2-1 home win to Port Vale. Reading and Mansfield. This is quite a toughie and all, you know. Because I feel like every week I sit here and say that I think Reading are crap. And then in my review, they pick points up, like, consistently. But there's not a lot to say based on recent results. Obviously, Reading went to Stockport and got a point, which were really good. But they were getting pummeled for the majority of the game. And then Mansfield made fairly light work, regardless of it being a quite late winner. They made fairly easy pickings of Rotherham at home, whose only real chance for a penalty in the entire game, and that were it. So there's not loads and loads to go off here. I feel like if I were to go for a dugout situation, then obviously Nigel Clough's a lot more experienced. But the home aspect of Reading almost evens that one out anyway as a bit of a leveller. Quite a toughie to pick, so I might just go for safe option. I'm going to do. I'll go 1 apiece, Reading and Mansfield. I don't think there'll be loads of goals in it, in fairness, so I'll just go for that. Reading 1 and Mansfield 1. To be fair, maybe not Reading, but I think they'll both be alright with that, just to keep chipping away with points. I'll tell you what, who would have thought this would have been a big game so early on in the season? Stevenage at home to Luton before international break. This is massive. Well, for both sides, but I feel like especially for Stevenage, because if they can win this game and go into international breaks, 25 points from 10 games, they'll be second in division at least with a game in hand. That would be a very, very impressive feat to have managed that already and have 2 international breaks under your belt. That would be summer. But I do think it is equally as big for Luton. Personnel-wise, this is not close at all. Luton's team is miles better than what Stevenage's is. Stevenage as a collective and as a team look really good. They are obviously very well drilled. Say it with me now. Defensively solid. Good on set pieces. Just good at the basics of football. They make it look quite a simple game and they take advantage of that, Stevenage. I really do admire how good they've been so far. But this is something that Luton... You've got to forget like how you've been playing and that you've not started as well. They're 7th with 16 points in 10 games. It's not the worst thing ever. But the expectation of Luton is to win this division. It's got to be with money that they've got and team they've got. They cannot go to Stevenage and admire them too much. You can't be going to Stevenage away when you've got the team that Luton have got and giving them too much credit. You can't be sitting off and thinking these are a good side here because they're second in division. Luton have got to go for these properly. They've got to go for a win. A draw from a mental side of things, I think, is no good to Luton. It'd be really good for Stevenage if they can get into it with only 1 loss in 10. Luton have got to come here and try and win. And I feel like the Stevenage situation has sort of got to come to an end at some point anyway. They've not lost in a while now. They've won 3 out of the last 4 games. And do I think Stevenage are a better side currently than what Luton are? Yes. Do I think that will be the case across a full season? No, I do not. I think Luton and Bloomfield and the team in general have just got to start finding some rhythm soon. And it might be an unpopular one, but I think they will find it here. I think Luton will come to Stevenage and win, which, from a selfish Barnsley point of view, I actually don't want to happen. I'd rather this be a draw. But I think Luton will come here and win a narrow 2-1. It's a really tough game to call that. Stevenage are probably favourites, which is mental. But I think Luton will come here and win. I think the form has got to start somewhere, and it'll be before this international break. But that's it, boys and girls. Kiss, thank you, absolute pleasure. Make sure you like, subscribe if you do enjoy it. Helps me out a lot. Love you all, and I'll see you in a bit. Goodbye.
I say I'm a man, yes, I'm a mucker. I think of me saying as a right good looker. I say up that. Show us me tits.